Welcome to the Fran Snyder Podcast, where I talk to artists and music fans to explore how music connects us through great stories and experiences. Brought to you by the Listening Room Network. Today's guest, Jamie and Hannah of Stray Local. How are you?
Good. Doing great. Thank you for talking to us today.
Sure. So you guys are in North Carolina. I just talked to Rod Abernethy. Do you know him?
We met him at the Folk Alliance
in Montreal.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's funny. You go across the world to meet somebody who lives like 10 streets down, right?
Exactly.
Isn't that great? Anyway, so yeah, I was curious because he does a weekly meetup thing with musicians from around the world. I thought it might be something you were already involved in, but I'll make sure you get the link to that. It's just kind of like a little weekly meetup.
Well, the interesting thing is, Fran, that we moved to Raleigh in March of this year.
Oh my goodness! So you're new.
Yes, from Wilmington. So we found this house. We thought we're going to be in a bigger music scene. We're going to connect with all these really active musicians in Raleigh and in the Triangle. And of course, the week we move into our house is the week that everything shuts down. And we've never spent so much time at home in our lives. So we are enjoying our new city, but not the connections that we know are out there. And
wow. Yeah, that is some goofy timing. I talked to Pierce Krask, and he just moved to Chicago right as this was happening too, from St. Louis. So I guess you guys are not alone there, but you probably feel alone. I'll tell you. Even I've been living in this town for 10 years and I feel isolated. So it's got to be a real challenge for you guys. I hope you're getting along well.
We already spent all of our time together before. So for a lot of couples, they're having to deal with this new time together, but luckily we get along.
Yeah. Awesome. So the move to Raleigh was mostly just for a bigger music scene, for more activity, or was there some other underlying reasons to move there?
Yeah, definitely. That was a big factor. And we're doing touring more, and so Wilmington, being at the coast, was just 2 hours from absolutely everything.
Yeah.
So that was another factor, just being able to be close proximity to like DC and Northeast and whatnot. It's just everything's so much closer, and the population is so much larger in the Triangle.
There are so many bubbles of good scenes. Like there's Chapel Hills right there, which is small. But of course, I think people all over the country, know that they're a hub of indie music, and Durham also is blowing up. So many great musicians are coming out of Durham, and so it just seemed like a natural progression for us to get in where there's more, not only musicians, but also that next level up of there's people that are producing. There's bigger acts that come through there. So if you want to open for other acts, like, there's just more opportunities.
In Wilmington, like when we would be wanting to open up for an act, it's just they don't quite swing all the way to the coast. So we miss a lot. They come Chapel Hill, and then they go down to Athens. We miss a lot in Wilmington.
I see. So let's backtrack. Are you guys from Wilmington originally? How did you meet?
I am born and raised in Wilmington, and Jamie is from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, which is actually where we are right now.
Oh, you're in Lancaster. Okay.
Yeah, but we both went to the University of North Carolina at Greensboro for the School of Music. So we met when we were 18 years old, just getting into the School of Music, both studying classical music. So Jamie studied classical guitar, and I studied choral music. I was a chorus teacher for a little while, and then we were both private lessons teachers. But we met, that first day, honestly, before school in the orientation, and got along and became friends pretty soon. But we didn't start playing music together until our sophomore year, where we joined the Old Time Ensemble. And Old Time, you probably know, being in the folk world, that Appalachian, like, mountain music. And Jamie would teach me how to play guitar because as a vocalist, I was really attracted to that style of music. It was so different to me, but I did not play an instrument. That, I sang and I was taking piano lessons, but I wanted to be a part of that group, but didn't play an instrument. So Jamie taught me the guitar, and I would help him with harmony singing, and it just kind of naturally rolled into this partnership that after we graduated in 2012, we started writing songs together and eventually formed a band.
All right. So it was music first, then romance?
Oh yeah. Romance was way later. We were friends even when we started the band after college. I mean, we were still just friends and roommates. But somehow, you sing love songs to each other enough, and it just kind of happens.
Yeah.
That way.
You can only resist for so long. That's awesome. So, so you guys have been doing house concerts for a bit. I forget when you joined Listening Room Network, but can you talk about some of your experiences, like how you discovered house concert, maybe like one or two, or sort of a notable experience from doing that?
Yeah, well, we through the old time world, I think we probably learned about the house concerts and just how intimate they could be, and having the ability to be like less amplified. Acoustic music is just so nice in intimate settings. And then finding the network, I think it's probably been about close to 2 years, maybe, that we've been, a year and a half. And this last tour that we did, our Run Wild tour in 2019, in the fall, we hit from North Carolina all the way to California and back, and we played I think 4 concerts within the network out in San Francisco and Colorado and Kansas City, and all had a great time with everybody.
Oh yeah. But I think, this because you host them and you've created this network, and there's like this magic that can only be had in a house concert. And it's like, every house concert is memorable for that reason. It doesn't need some standout other thing that happens. It's just, there is a magic when you make connections performing, and you can feel that electricity. So I don't know that there's one that sticks out more than the other. They're all so magical and different because you're invited into somebody else's life and you're able to share your story, and that's just a special thing. And so the Run Wild tour that we did, it was a mixture. By the name you can tell we incorporated some of our running that we like to do, but it was a mixture of these house concerts, our run club performances where we go run and then perform afterwards for a club, and then some so far shows, which are very similar to the house concert concept. It's very intimate. So that whole tour was super special for us.
So let's dig into the Run Wild tour and the concept behind it. I guess, what was the original idea, and how's it changed, and describe a little bit what it is now.
Well, the initial idea started when we were thinking about our tour. We're runners, and oftentimes as musicians, it's hard to stay healthy on tour. You end up going to eating McDonald's.
You're in a car all the time.
Yeah. House concert network is nice because you get a meal a lot of times, so that's like one of the healthiest or well eating.
Except for the potluck buffet, which is like the everlasting.
Overindulge, but
yeah, a little bit better than fast food. Yeah.
But just like the new concept that you guys have been doing with like I think it's called 10 by 10 or something like that.
Yeah, the 10-10 concerts. Yeah,
the 10-10 concerts. For us, we had booked your more typical venues and breweries and that kind of thing on weekends. But what do you do in the middle of the week when you're trying to get from point A to point B and you want to connect with as many people as you can, also while trying to stay healthy? So like our Run Wild tour, we purposely, stopped at different parks and trails to get a run in. But then in addition to that, a Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, there's always a brewery that has a run club gathering. They're happy people. They're running, hanging out, drinking a beer afterwards. And we thought, well, they're already congregating. If we're going to a new town and we're trying to connect with people, we don't have a draw based off our name. People don't know us yet. So we're not going to go into a new place on a Tuesday and play a venue and draw 50 people. It's just not going to happen yet. So we were contacting these breweries and saying, you already have a really special thing on your Tuesday. We are runners. We want to come join you and play music for you. And we guarantee you people will hang around longer. They'll buy an extra beer. It'll be good for you, but it also is good for us to be able to perform and connect with these other communities and get a good run in.
And so when you use that approach on club owners or managers, give me a sense of the percentage of responses, because I'm assuming you're asking for a little bit of money too. What are most of them kind of open to the idea? Like, yeah, that sounds like maybe it could work, or do you get a lot more no's than yeses? Or
the really cool thing is it is not asking for much of them. We set up everything, and because it's a special one-time kind of deal, in a lot of cases we're traveling, we're just passing through, and it's a really cool idea that it kind of is an easier sell on people, I think, because they know it's going to be fun. And a lot of times a run club will schedule it so it's around their 1-year anniversary or something that's special for them. And we are asking, a fee, but it's smaller than their weekend fee. So we make it easier for them. And then we end up selling our merch. So we have found that it is a niche that is open. And we have had overall more positive responses. I mean, everyone that we've talked to thinks it's a cool idea. So we're happy to continue doing that.
so it seems like a great tool to fill gaps in your schedule when you're planning a tour, and you can just, because almost every town has a brewery now, or 7 or 15 like here. Yeah. So you've got, several opportunities in each town. Even if the first club isn't responsive, you've got probably deeper resources with that. It's cool. I love that innovation. It's one of the things that you read about in music advice books time and time again, whether it's looking for publicity in non-music magazines, finding a hobby or something that you love, that you connect with your music, and creating in that space. So congrats for pulling that off. That's a cool thing. But now you're taking that to the next level. Tell us about what's next with it. If you are enjoying this podcast, can you pause for a moment to like, review, and subscribe? Please help the world discover our music community and the wonderful artists we support. Your feedback makes a difference.
We've been creating our merchandise and learning how to screen print, because it's another kind of angle where we were wanting merchandise, but it's a lot of money to put up front, have someone screen print your merch. So we. And
hang on, is this a COVID project? Like, hey, we're stuck at home, let's learn something?
Sure.
No, we actually had that idea last year before the Run Wild tour. We're like, we're going to be in front of a lot of new people. We need new merch. And, when you buy a t-shirt from a company, it's like a minimum of 500 or whatever it might be. And we didn't necessarily want only one design. We wanted to have a lot of different things. So a friend of mine had this screen printing, really kind of do it yourself, probably not meant for the masses of shirts that I have made with it, but she had this little,
like a
you-do machine is what it was. And I borrowed it and eventually kept it as my own. Sorry, Nikki. But, and just experimented with screen printing, and I'm designing them, screen printing them. We were even playing around with dyeing. So we would have like these dip dyed. It was a very fun way to just have a lot of different options.
So do you have some graphics design background, or are you kind of self-taught, or?
The internet is a wonderful place to learn how to do stuff. So there are some applications online that make it easier for non-designers. I also have a sister who's a graphic designer, so I always run things by her.
Gotcha. Yeah, I just learned how to season a cast iron skillet yesterday on YouTube. So it's one of those things you have to you have to relearn it once a year because you forget to do it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, the 2020 difference, I think, and the COVID difference, I guess, from our Run Wild ideas last year to now is we recently joined the Run Happy team, with Brooks, which is a running brand. And
I just bought some shoes from them. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
the best.
I've been using the Ghost series forever, and
Nice.
I always get last year's model and
Oh yeah,
Perfect.
they're still wonderful. Yeah.
save $50, and yeah, it's
Yeah.
good. So you got a sponsorship deal or a partnership deal with Brooks?
Yeah, we're ambassadors for them, so it's
Okay.
gonna be fun to represent their brand, and they send us all kinds of gear that we can test out, and which has been great. And we're the best thing about it is that we're connected to 150 other Brooks Run Happy team members across the country who are like us. They love to run, and we're excited to collaborate. We just did. You can talk maybe about this, but we just did this collaboration with a yogi runner. So she's a marathoner, but also does yoga. And we made this video, a live music yoga video for runners. So again, you know, you're trying to be as creative as possible without being able to perform this year. And we decided to kind of connect those two in a virtual way, which was really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So you're basically, you know, creating this extended network of runners. Are you guys focused on long distance running or like trail running? What's kind of like your main thing?
We do. I think the half marathon is definitely where we kind of coalesce around. I love trail running and Spartan races. There's like mud runs. Hannah's getting into trail running, and in Raleigh, we have a lot more trails than Wilmington. So
yeah, I mean, I was really finally like loving all the trail running, and then I sprained my ankle a couple months ago, which kind of then makes me run scared all the time. I'm like going so slow and like looking at every route, terrified. So I'll get back to it. We love, that being said, trail running, especially in COVID times, is like the perfect escape, and like being in the natural world and escaping all the chaos of what 2020 has been a blessing, a silver lining of the extra time that we have, you know, to be able to find those trails. And
so you're coalescing around the half marathons, which is like the longest distance I've ever done. I can't imagine putting in the time for marathons, but I'm guessing you guys have, like, are there some favorite marathons that you've done, or is there one or two that you try to do every year, or?
Yeah.
Our very first one was the Disney Marathon.
Yeah.
The very first full marathon. Yeah. Which was
more fun than
it was before we got serious.
Yeah.
You know, before we were like, what time are we trying to get? You know, we were just trying to do it, but that was super fun. But as we do every year, the Battleship half marathon, which is down in Wilmington, where we're from, where I'm from. But we kind of just stick around the local races. Primarily, we just like the community, and I mean, half marathons we've definitely done probably like 10 or 15, whereas like marathons we've only done a couple.
It just takes so long to train, like you said. I mean, it's just, you know, so much distance you have to get in, and in Florida,
I can't imagine. I mean, finding a day that wasn't hot and humid for you to go run for like 4 hours at the time. So
yeah. I've never done a half marathon here. I did them when I was in Atlanta, and that was brutal in its own way. But a couple miles here will cook you pretty good. Yeah. Well, you did Disney though. I mean, you're running on
January.
Oh, that's right. It's January.
And it was our first one. So we thought 60 degrees, 70 degrees, great. Most marathon runners think that's way too hot, you know, to run in a cool January day.
Right. So what's next for you guys before we wrap up? Musically, where are you working on some recordings? And also, I'd like to ask this question about the shift from releasing full CDs to EPs to maybe just singles online. How are you guys feeling about physical merch on top of like what you're working on now?
Yeah, we've definitely transitioned to singles. We got a lot of recording gear on our own and just are working on self-producing. So it's been nice to work on one single at a time, and you know, still figuring out our style and whatnot. Doing one single is a little bit less stressful and can allow us to kind of have more of a focus and
experiment with the tones for each song as they need it.
Versus having to have a whole coalesce, like cohesive sound of an album, is just not where we're.
I think more with how rapidly things are coming out, if you save, all your songs to release as an album, it gets lost in the rapid changing, it's going to be exciting for a month or two and then you move on. So I think we've accepted that singles is probably a better way to go. And with COVID, we've been really focusing on songwriting, and it's actually, been really helpful to us to learn how to really do it on our own. And it's been great. We have a song that we're working on finishing up right now that we'll be releasing, fingers crossed, very soon with a music video, and we're really excited about that.
Nice. And so you're in Lancaster, PA. Are you guys, I was going to ask you this earlier, are you guys having fun running by the horse and buggies?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Passing them on the left.
Yeah.
We're going to be, we'll be going down to the county park. See if we see any on the ride down.
As a student, I had to learn really what a buggy was, because I thought a buggy was a shopping cart. So I don't know if that's what you call buggies down in Florida, but
it's funny. I'm French Canadian, and in Quebec they use a lot of really old French words, words that have evolved. Like if you live in France, a perfect example is in France, they say, for the word for car is auto, just like automobile, right? But in Quebec, they still often say char with C-H-A-R, which you can tell is like short for chariot, right?
Yeah.
And so it's one of those buggy-isms in French for you.
Yeah.
So great to reconnect with you guys. Hopefully we'll bump into each other again in real life. Maybe not in Montreal, but maybe some other conference closer to home.
Yeah.
Wishing you guys well. Enjoy the downtime and the silver linings, and I look forward to seeing the new merch and hearing the new music.
Thanks so much.
All right, we'll talk again soon. Thanks for listening to the Fran Snyder Podcast. Please subscribe, like, or share to help your friends discover this community. Also, I'd love to hear from you with any feedback or suggestions you have. And if you'd like to learn more about house concerts and listening rooms around the world, please visit and join listeningroomnetwork.com. You can email me from there. See you next time on the Fran Snyder Podcast.